Hey you, welcome to the Dating Chat, a space designed to help you move beyond assumptions and guesswork so you can date and love with clarity and confidence. I'm your host, T. Today's guest is Steve, late 40s, grounded, and refreshingly clear about love. He calls his wife the Jackpot, and their story is about intention, timing, and choosing partnership on purpose. They dated for 4 years, have been happily married for 4.5, and chose not to have kids, so the relationship stays first. In this episode, Steve shares how he met his wife, the signals that mattered, how he handled uncertainty, what happened when he lost his job early in dating, and the honest conversations they had around love, sex, boundaries, and conflict. If you're dating, married, or still believe in love, curious about what actually builds a happy, lasting relationship from a man who truly lives it, I think Steve's story might stay with you. Let's get into it. I'm so excited to have you here.
I'm excited too. Thank you for having me.
When I first asked you, you didn't hesitate too much to say yes.
Yeah, I love this topic. I love talking about relationships. I love talking about my marriage. I'm happy to go into that. I can talk about dating before I got married, whatever topic is top of mind.
I love that. You sound like someone who's super proud of your marriage.
Absolutely. I'm super lucky. I met the right woman. It took me a long time to meet her. We met later in life, and I was getting to a point when I was frustrated. I was single. I was using all the dating apps.
Oh, you were? Interesting. Okay, you went through that as well.
I went through that as well. No shame. I looked at it as I wanted to cast as wide a net as possible to try to find the right person. I knew that I was getting to a stage in life when I was ready to find something more meaningful, something more fulfilling. And I didn't want to date casually anymore. And then I met my wife at church. She was on my ushering team. I remember years ago when I was either in my late 20s or early 30s, I have a buddy from high school that I reconnected with. Him and his wife at the time were telling me, when you meet the right person, it just feels different. I kind of adopted that mentality. I had heard it before, but it hit home when I heard it from a good friend. And it is true. When I met my wife, it just felt different from the beginning.
Wow. Just the moment you saw her, it was different.
It was different, yeah. She has the look that I go for. She's a very attractive girl. And then when I met her, she just made it easy. We just communicated so well. And then she's very affectionate. That was something that I felt like in past relationships, I kind of had to drag it out, but it comes natural to her.
Wow. Well, congratulations.
Thank you.
Before we learn more about your story, I'd love to have you to tell our audience about who you are, what's going on with you, all of that things.
Yeah, okay. I'm Steve Young. I'm a 47-year-old male. I live in Redwood City, California. I've been married for 4.5 years. I've been with my wife for 8.5 years. We were supposed to get married in 2020, but COVID came along and forced our hand to delay a little bit. So we had to postpone our wedding a whole year. But now we've been married for 4.5 years. We're happily married. We're getting to the point where we're starting to think about what's next for us. I don't think children are in the cards for us because we've passed the age point where it would be safe for her.
Oh, okay. How old is she?
She's a few years older than me.
Okay, that's cool.
Yeah.
When you started dating, you didn't think that age difference was an issue.
I didn't think age was an issue. I didn't know exactly how old she was when we first met, and I don't think I found out until we had been together for maybe 4 or 5 months.
That's so interesting.
My parents always raised me that it's impolite to ask a lady her age, so I didn't really want to ask her. Of course, I was curious, and I wanted to make sure we were age appropriate, but she knew how old I was, and she didn't balk at it. You can tell when someone's your contemporary. I knew there wasn't a vast gap in age.
I think it is very unusual for a couple to have age difference, like women will be a little older than men. It's a little bit unusual. So when you eventually find out her age, what went through your mind?
My entire adult life, I always wanted children, or at least a child. When I met my wife, she was already of an age where she wasn't sure that it was a good idea to pursue having children anymore. There are studies that show that the later in life that women conceive, there are downstream effects to the child. And so she had already grown comfortable to the notion of not having children. But for me, I went into the relationship just thinking like, well, we met at church, we're both Christian, and we take our faith serious. So we both thought, if it's God's will, if God has it in the cards for us, then it is to be. That was my mentality. And now we've both grown comfortable with the idea of not having children. We'll have a nice retirement and we'll get to travel.
Wow, that's awesome. It's nice to hear that. Sounds everything just falling into its right places.
I hope so. I think so too. I hope you're right.
In general, you were not really concerned about the difference about your age. And the only element there was like, could she have children type of thing?
Yeah, it's funny. The age has been such a non sequitur for us for so many years now that I have to like take myself back to when we first started dating 8.5 years ago. But I was never too worried about it. I could tell she was old enough. It wasn't like she was in her 20s or something and I was in my 30s. As far as I was concerned, we were two consenting adults of similar age. Age wasn't much of a concern.
And a lot of women today, they freeze their eggs or trying their way to make sure they're not risking the idea of not be able to have children later. So when you met your wife, what was your idea about kids?
I know I definitely wanted children at the time. I feel like when I was single, I was looking for love in all the wrong places. Or like, maybe that's not quite right.
That describes so many people.
You know, it's funny that same married couple that told me that when you meet the right person, it just feels different. They also told me that every single day that you are married, you wake up and you decide to be married. You know, it's like you have to work at it and stuff like that.
That's very true.
I think I took that mindset into my relationships of like, well, I have to work at this relationship if I want to make it work. And it just felt different when I met my wife. It didn't feel like I had to work as hard. Like we just fit each other better.
You had a language between you two.
Yeah, we just understood each other. I remember our very first date. I'm a huge basketball fan. We went to a bar to watch a Warriors playoff game. That may not sound very romantic, but when I first met her, she told me that she was a huge Warriors fan herself. I gave her a couple of options for what we should do on our first date, and that was the one she picked. So we went to this bar, and we're sitting at the bar, and the game's on the TV above the bar. And we didn't watch 1 minute of it. We sat there, we were chit-chatting the whole time. Conversation just flowed. It was very natural. She made it easy. In my single days, I would go into a date, like having a few questions I wanted to ask and stuff like that, just to try to get to know them. I didn't necessarily want to go into like some of the questions that it's not really appropriate to ask on the first date, but I wanted to get to know her, and she just made it easy. Like,
what question did you want to ask, but you didn't ask?
Like if she wanted children or something like that. Like,
yeah, they're super important.
Yeah, these are things that are ultimately, theoretically insurmountable. If you're not aligned on those things, it could lead to the relationship going south.
I agree with that.
Again, I don't know that these are always topics that are appropriate to broach on the first date. But it didn't matter with my wife. Conversation just flowed. We had a great time. Again, there was a Warriors basketball playoff game on the TV above us, and we didn't watch any of it. That's a huge testament to her because anyone who knows me well knows that I'm easily distracted by a Warriors game.
From what I heard, your relationship, your love is more important than having kids or not.
I think so. At that point, we had had some conversations around what we saw, where we were with having children. I had played my hand. I told her, like, I've always pictured myself being a father and blah, blah, blah. And on our third date is when she told me she didn't think children were in the cards for her. And she was basically trying to break up with me. But at that point, I was already into her. Like, we just had good chemistry and all that. So we found a mutually agreeable path forward where we just decided, like, let's just see where this goes.
You both sound very cool people to me. I love how straightforward she was. On the third date, she brings this up. That also shows she respected you.
I think so too. The first time I met my wife, she was on my ushering team at church. And I was already an usher, and then she joined my team. And the first ushering shift that we had together, there was a guy, it was also his first shift. So I assumed that they came as a package deal. I thought she was there with her boyfriend. She caught my eye right away. But I thought, like, well, if she's here with her boyfriend, I probably shouldn't pursue or whatever. I found out later that that was indeed her ex-boyfriend. At the end of our first date, I walked my wife out to her car when the date was over. I said, I'd really like to get to know you better and I'd like to see you again, but I just want to make sure you're a free agent. She told me later that the fact that I asked her that question really meant a lot to her because it indicated to her that I wasn't just in it for the casual encounters. I was serious about it.
I think through my experience, when women go first date with a man, if a man expresses that type of interest to follow up and to say a statement like that, it generally shows there's a genuine interest to get to know you better. If a guy really don't say much, it's already an indication. I don't care where this goes.
Yeah, what their intentions are.
Exactly.
I was long past the stage of trying to play games. I knew I was looking for something more significant.
How old were you back then?
I was 38. It was a couple weeks before my 39th birthday.
Wow, what a big birthday surprise.
Actually, yeah, for my 39th birthday, I spent time with my wife-to-be. She took me to breakfast and we spent the whole day together and all that. It was pretty obvious fairly early on that we had a good thing going.
Oh, wait, she took you out for breakfast. And what else did she do to celebrate your birthday?
She gave me a gift certificate to an online men's custom suit company.
Wow, that's very generous. Just 2 weeks after you two meet, right?
2-ish weeks.
It's literally right after you met each other.
Yeah.
You probably only went out 2-3 times.
Yeah, you're right. I don't think we had gone on that many dates, but it was pretty obvious from early on that there was
Like
a
you
strong
have-
pull.
Yeah,
You know.
from both sides.
I think so.
Did you end up making the suit?
I did. And actually, it's the suit I got married in.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
Wow, come on. 2
This-
months.
My favorite color is royal blue. This suit is royal blue. Like the color just pops. And I had my eye on it forever. So she gave me that gift certificate. And then I ended up losing my job a couple weeks later. And I remember we had continued to see each other. This was a few weeks after my birthday. And on the day that I lost my job, that was the first time I told her that I loved her. And that was the first time that we officially exchanged titles. Like she became my girlfriend that day.
Really? When was that after you met?
This was about a month and a half after we met.
And you already said, I love you. On that topic, people love to talk about when it's appropriate to say I love you to the other person. So what's your thought on that now?
Historically, I would have said, like, I would have waited a little bit longer just to make sure the feelings
Because
were
it's such a
sincere.
big word, right?
Yeah.
It contains a lot of responsibilities. You should have actions in there already, type of thing.
Yeah, I think you're right. But again, like we just had that pull from very early on. And she had been kind of hinting at it, like when I would leave her place or she would leave mine, or like when we would go our separate ways after a date, we would say things like, I like you so much. I'm really having a good time. And she had hinted like, the L word or something like that. I don't think that I was entirely going out on a limb. The first time I told her I loved her, I could tell the feelings were strong and it felt like it was both ways. So what happened was I lost my job and I got together with her that night and I told her. I wasn't too worried about this, but I thought there was a possibility that she might tell me like, look, why don't you go figure out your professional life and give me a call when you're a little more situated, when you have your feet back under you. Let's hit pause on this for now. You don't need to be dating anyone while you're unemployed. And nothing could be further from the truth. She was very supportive. She was like, you got this. You have all this talent. It's just a matter of time till you're back on your feet. That was more the answer that I would expect from someone that I wanted to express that I loved them. That was the moment. I told her I loved her. I told her when she met my friends, would she be okay with me addressing her as my girlfriend?
Do you think when you said I love you the first time to her, did that really mean like I love you, or that meant different type of I love you, like I adore you, I like you so much that I just want to spend every minute with you? But in fact, it was not I love you.
Yeah, it's funny you ask. I hate bringing up religion, but it's something we learned about at church. There's a type of love in old Greek language called agape, which is like unconditional love. It's the I want to spend every moment with you. It's the, I would argue, kind of like the deepest form of love. And I think that was what I felt. There's another form of love called eros, which is more, call it like physical. But I think we waited on that part. It was just that, the agape, the unconditional love. In my wife's credit, loving unconditionally is the only way she knows how. She's got a heart of gold. She's very loving. She's very sweet. So it was easy for me to fall in love with her.
What I'm hearing is when you said I love you to her, you both felt like you are each other's person forever and you would do anything to make it work and you'll always be there for each other.
I don't know that we were at that square at that point.
But you just mentioned that you were feeling the deepest form of love.
Yes, and I think that we were on that path. At least I hope.
I understand.
I think the day that I decided that I wanted to spend forever with her was the day that we got engaged, or maybe even the day we got married. But I knew that the first time I told her I loved her, I think I was being honest. I genuinely did love her, and I didn't want her to leave, or I don't think either of us were planning on splitting up. But I wanted to communicate to her how strongly my feelings for her were. I think she deserved it, and now I try to tell her as often as I can.
Do you have advice to our audience, to single people today, when it's a good time to say I love you?
This is going to sound so cliched and so corny, but when it feels right, you know?
Just go with flow, go with your heart.
Yeah, go with your heart. I had another situation with a previous girlfriend where I told her I loved her and she clammed up on me. We had been dating for maybe 6-ish months And I told her I loved her, and she kind of froze. And she was like, I'm not ready to say that yet.
That's fair.
Yeah, I remember like she handled it as well as one possibly can. But I'm not going to lie, like it hurt.
Of course.
But I think that I felt like I was ignoring maybe some warning signs that weren't present with my wife the first time I told her I loved her.
Yeah. I feel if a person has already had a relationship with you for 6 months and they don't feel that kind of intense, loving feeling, you probably shouldn't be together. You don't belong to each other.
You're right. I think the fact that it took me 6 months to get ready to tell her that I loved her is also indicative of the point you're just making. Maybe I'm traditional, but I think the man should tell the woman he loves her first.
I also agree to that.
I think love's a two-way street. I don't think the man should be grasping at straws. The woman also has a role in that.
Of course, yeah.
So, like, she needs to give him signs that the feelings are real for her too, or whatever, right?
Yeah, only when you feel mutual, right?
Yeah, that's such an aphrodisiac, right? Is when you feel like the person that you're dating and you're developing these bond with feels the same way about you. I honestly think that's the most beautiful part about it.
I was going to say that. It is the most beautiful part, yeah.
My wife and I say all the time, we just wish that everyone could have a relationship like ours, where you're just like totally happy. We get along famously. She literally is my best friend. We have the best time together. I miss her when I'm not with her. It sounds super corny, but I think I hit the jackpot.
How many men can say that?
Hopefully a lot.
Earlier on, you mentioned about you waited on sex.
Yes.
Would you like to share more about that?
I think the physical attraction was there, but I don't think either of us wanted to convey that we were rushing into anything or that we were there for the wrong reasons. So we just took our time with it. And in hindsight, I'm glad we did. So before we got married, we were sexually active. And then we went to a premarital class at our church. And our pastor encouraged us to kind of hit the brakes on that. And he was like, honor God. And so we did. We took a vow of celibacy and we refrained from having sex until after marriage. I mean, again, we had already tasted that fruit, but then we decided to kind of hit pause on it.
How long after you met, you started having sex?
I think it was about 3.5 months.
Okay. After you really know each other in depth already.
I had already told her I loved her. When I lost my job, I had a lot of freedom. I would spend my days looking for a job. And then my evenings were free. So I was with her a lot,
Almost every day?
Almost every day.
Oh, that's so nice.
My wife has a very stressful job and she's extremely successful and upwardly mobile. So her job is demanding of her. She didn't always have the bandwidth, but when I was available, whenever she was, kind of thing, But then when I found my next job, I didn't have as much freedom.
Do you think it was important for you to know that you two were compatible sexually as well?
I don't know. It's funny. I can't really remember being that worried about it.
Some people are really concerned about it today.
I know.
Their opinions are, I need to really have sex with the person I'm dating before I marry her or marry him. So I know for sure we're compatible in every way.
I think sexual intimacy and good sex can also be kind of a learned behavior. At the end of the day, I have the male genitalia and she has the female genitalia. So we can make it work.
That's interesting. I never heard somebody said that, putting it that way, but sounds logical to me. And I also think in many levels, it's very psychological and it's based on deep intimacy. As long as you have that deep connection and you're both healthy people, right? Healthy mentally, and you're able to have amazing sex.
Yeah, the connection part's important. I remember when I was single, but I was ready for something more. I was looking for someone that I had what I call chemistry with. And I think chemistry encapsulates the physical attraction, the emotional connection, being in alignment with the things that are important to you. Sometimes I would go so far as to say it even includes that little spark. And that spark can go a long way in the bedroom too.
I want to go back to the first time you saw her. You told me that you noticed her right away. She was beautiful. What else about her that really attracted you?
I'm glad you asked, because the very first time I met her, I wondered where she had been. I had been going to my church, the church we met at. It's up in San Francisco. I had been going there for maybe 5 years at this point, and I had never seen her around. And when I saw her, I was like, who is that and where has she been hiding? So I want to tell you the story about the day I got her number.
That was second time you saw her.
Second time I saw her.
Yeah.
So there's a few details I didn't share yet. So can I tell them now?
Yes, please, including the question I asked you about what other qualities about her that really attracted you.
Oh, I'll answer that first. So yeah, looks, that was definitely an eye catcher. And then the fact that she was at church was also
That was important.
for me. Yeah.
Yes.
And then not the first time we met, because the first time we met was just very like a handshake and a how's it going kind of thing. The second time we met was when we started chit-chatting. And that was the Mother's Day time when she told me that it was her first Mother's Day without her mother being with her. On that day, she had caught my eye the first time I saw her. And then this time we started talking and I realized like, wow, she's really cool. She's really easy to talk to. I felt like we had chemistry or that little spark like very early on. I think those were kind of the main boxes that I was checking in my head. Was like, I thought she was pretty. She was at church. There's only so much you can tell about someone.
Her personality is very easygoing type of thing.
Yes, but again, that was at the second time we met. The first time we met, I didn't even have a chance to talk to her too much. It was just like a handshake. So I didn't know how her personality was just yet. When I was an usher at my old church, I would serve every other weekend. What happened was the very first time I met my wife, when we didn't get a chance to chit-chat, we just met in passing, when she joined the ushering team. 2 weeks later was when I was scheduled to serve, but I was out of town that weekend. And then 2 weeks later from that was the next time I saw her, and that was Mother's Day. That's the day she showed up in black pants, a black sweater, and a teal scarf. That's when I started chit-chatting with her. You know, I asked her what her plans were for Mother's Day, and she said, well, I'm not married and I don't have any children. She was dropping little hints.
You're repeating yourself.
Yeah.
You just love that memory.
She also said something like, you know, the church we went to in San Francisco is called Cornerstone. And she's like, there's a rumor that Cornerstone is going to start a ministry for single people. And she's like, we should join that. She was dropping hints around like the fact that she was single and interested.
I like how she did that.
Oh, yeah. Our other friend, Gabriella, was there and like witnessed the whole interaction. And she told us later, she's like, man, you guys were like, it was pretty obvious that we were interested in each other. Like, right.
Everybody saw.
Yeah. So that day that we met, and then I had to serve my ushering shift, and my wife worked the main sanctuary and I worked the side door over where the Sunday school was, where the children's ministry is. And the whole time I was over there, I was thinking about my wife, and I was like, man, she's showing signs of being interested. I don't want to wait until another 2 weeks when I serve with her again.
Definitely not.
Yeah. I got to get her number today.
If you like her, get her.
Yeah. After service let out, I was like trying to make my way over there to talk to her again. It's a funny story. So then these two ladies at my church that had been trying to recruit me to work in the hospitality ministry, like serving coffee and donuts and stuff to the congregation, they came up and cornered me and they were like, hey, you should do it. You'd have a great time, blah, blah, blah. And while I'm talking to these two girls, I could see my wife like going to gather her stuff and getting ready to leave. Oh, and so I'm like, I felt like I was like cornered. I'm like, I got to go talk to her before she leaves. And so I told these two girls, I'm like, okay, fine, I'll do it. And then like, just send me the information. And then I saw my wife go upstairs to get her purse. And so I went out front and I was waiting for her outside of the church. And I'm like waiting forever. And I'm like, oh man, I hope she didn't go out a different exit and like already leave. And then finally I saw her come out the front door.
She was just chatting with somebody.
Yeah, she was. And then she walked right up to me and she's like, are you serving again for the noon service? And I'm like, no, I was waiting for you.
Oh, wow.
I'm like, I was curious if you want to get together sometime. And she's like, sure.
I love that there's no games.
No. I took my phone out to get her number and I was so nervous that my hand was shaking. Like she had to key her number into my phone. And then I called her that day. And normally I think that's also taboo, but I was going to be traveling for work that week and I wanted to get something on the calendar with her before I went out of town. So I just called her later that
Women
afternoon.
like that.
I think she liked it too.
Yeah.
She responded well.
Yeah. But of course, every relationship, there's tensions or conflicts.
There are.
Tell me about that. How do you guys get through that? What's your strategies to resolve that?
It's funny. So I mentioned we went to a premarital class, and I think both of us went into it kind of skeptical. You know, we were both a little bit older. You know, I was in my late 30s. I think we thought going into this premarital class, like this is for people in their 20s.
What made you even think about going there? Was it provided by the church?
It was provided by the church, and I think our pastor suggested it. And we're like, all right, so maybe more as a formality, like, okay, let's go see what this is about. Sure enough, one of the things that we learned there was how men and women process conflict differently. For men, when an issue comes up, we want to like minimize it and make it seem like it's no big deal. Like
interesting. I already like this class. Sounds very useful.
Yeah, we learned a lot. Meanwhile, women, on the other hand, want to feel validated. So they want to feel like the issue that they're dealing with is like bigger and more grandiose. Whereas men want to like minimize and make it go away and like figure out how to fix it. That doesn't always work with women. They're not looking for the solution. They're looking more to feel validated. Like, oh, girl, that's rough.
Come on, men also need to be validated. Everybody's feeling needs to be validated.
Of course. I mean, I know that's an oversimplification, but it's also kind of a truism about how men and women process things differently. So things that we learned in that premarital class, we've reflected back on at times when we did have conflict. It's funny because going through that class caused enough heartache for us in and of itself. Like friction just happened because of stuff we were talking about at that class. So we kind of like learned how to deal with it in real time.
Right there, during the class.
Yes. We used to call them 7-hour talks. We would have these discussions where we would have to work through things where we weren't aligned. When I lived in the city, like a lot of times we would go out and meet up with my buddies and like go have a couple drinks or whatever. And then we would find ourselves bickering because like the alcohol played a role and just whatever. And so we would have these talks that just took forever to get through, but we needed to get through them in order to get back to being like happy again.
7 hour?
They usually weren't that long, but that was just more of a nickname we gave them.
Oh, okay. It's more like, let's have a conversation about this one particular issue we're facing.
Yeah, let's work through this.
I agree. Like when you have a problem, you need to just go resolve it before it go really bad.
Yeah, they always used to say like, don't go to bed angry or something like that.
Is that what you live by as well?
I tried to. There were times like when we would get home from hanging out with friends and again, like we've had a couple drinks. If we started to have a disagreement, I would say to myself, like, we should just pick this up in the morning when we've slept off the alcohol.
I totally agree in that situation for sure, because you two are not thinking clearly.
And there were times when like that is what we decided to do. There was one time when we were dating when my wife got mad and she left. She's like, I'm not staying here tonight. And she got her car and left.
I did that too.
Oh, I want to hear that story. And then I remember that day when she went home mad. I saw her the next morning at church. We were both like super sheepish. And again, we had kind of had time to sleep off the alcohol. And we were both like, I'm sorry. And, you know.
Did you say sorry first?
I'm sure I did. One thing about my wife, I don't mind telling her that I'm sorry because she loves me unconditionally. It's the least I can do.
You sound very sweet right now.
Oh, people who know both my wife and myself think that we're both lucky to have found each other. I definitely agree from my perspective. She's a good girl. She's got a sweetheart.
How come she doesn't come to the gym with you?
She's been a couple times. I think she thinks that that's like
your thing?
My forum or yeah. She likes to work out. She doesn't have a ton of time to do it, but she does like little HIIT workouts at home. She has it like a bunch of exercise equipment at home.
Oh, she doesn't even have time to drive 10 minutes to the gym?
Well, she works pretty long days.
Okay.
And also, she used to dance salsa competitively.
Oh, wow.
So that was kind of how she stayed fit. In recent years, she kind of got out of the salsa scene when she was no longer single. But now she does like HIIT workouts. She used to go to classes with me a lot when I lived in the city. But now, anytime she comes around the F45 crowd, I think she feels like it's like my scene. You know, I know everyone there. And like, you could also ask the question, like, why don't I go salsa dancing with her? And like, I just can't hang with her. She did it competitively for many years. And I'm very novice at it. So it just wouldn't be fun for either of us.
Yeah. Different level.
Yeah.
If someone wants a relationship like yours, what would you tell them to focus on?
Oh my gosh, that's an awesome question.
You love it.
Yeah. That's a tough one because I was single for many years. I didn't know the answer. I would be remiss if I failed to mention like how my faith has played a role because we met at church and like we still go to church. It's important to us. I also think it's important to just think about what's important to you in life. And then oftentimes that is where you'll meet the person that is right for you.
Should I say, first of all, faith, what you believe in life is really important. And think focusing on and hearing your heart about what you're looking for and what matters to you the most. And focus on that when you're looking for someone.
Yeah. I remember when I was active on the dating apps, some of the dating apps will let you select the criteria around what's an appropriate match for you. And I remember I used to think like they were gray areas or things that I was willing to compromise on because, I wanted to cast a wider net.
Yes, I think that's how it works with people's mind on the dating apps.
Also, I think it bleeds over into just dating in general. You meet someone that you're interested in or you find them attractive or whatever, and then you find something out about them that maybe doesn't quite align with your values or whatever. But you're kind of in it now. You know, you've like already started seeing them or, I think emotions can trump logic or whatever. And that's probably how it's supposed to be. but there's warning signs that maybe that's not the right fit for you.
Yeah, we call that red flags.
Yeah, I've heard that before. So don't ignore the red flags.
What do you think people often get wrong when choosing a partner?
I think they ignore the red flags. I think maybe I put too high a premium on the looks piece in my younger years.
But come on, you just told me your wife is beautiful.
I know. I know I'm talking out of
She
both
sounds
sides of my
very attractive to me. So
She
that
is.
sounds still very important to you.
It always will be. I can't kid myself. Like, I watch shows like Love is Blind where they meet through a pod where they don't get to see the person they're talking to. That's an interesting concept, but I've also seen the show enough to know that some of those relationships go south because they just don't have that physical attraction. Call me shallow or whatever. I don't want to sound like I'm virtue signaling, but I think I would love my life even if she didn't look like she does.
You were saying like in your younger years when you were dating, you were mostly focusing on the beauty on the outside.
Yeah, I think that's true.
You ignored other important values.
Yes.
Okay. What is the biggest lesson that you have learned from your relationship?
Gosh, I think I would say just how to be a better man.
Oh my.
Because I've learned so much from my wife.
You're so reflective. That's a great quality to be a good partner.
Yeah, she's taught me so much, and she's taught me how to love unconditionally. I think that's helpful. She gives me advice on things that I think is very sound, and sometimes I'll be at a crossroads where I don't know how to proceed or whatever, and I'll explain it to her, and she makes sense of it very quickly. She's super sharp. She processes things quickly, and then her advice is like 99% of the time accurate.
She sounds like a person who has a lot of wisdoms.
Yes, yeah,
And that you value that a lot.
absolutely. Yeah,
I can see
She's-
that from your eyes.
yeah, she's a good catch.
Well, too bad we don't have enough time to talk so much about your lives on dating apps.
Next time, chapter 2.
It's been great. I enjoyed hearing your story. It's very inspiring to me. It's a rare story. It's full of love. I can resonate with your story at many levels. What you said about how to be in a relationship, how to sustain and make sure the relationship works long term, all of that I agree as well.
I'm just so grateful for you letting me participate in this.
Well, thank you for just being so cool and being part of this.
It's been fun.
Steve had lots to share, and this is what his belief and practice in love. Every day, you wake up and you choose your relationship. You say, I love you often. You stay honest about what matters to you. You date with intention. You don't play games when the feeling is mutual. You understand that when conflicts happen, it's not you versus your partner. It's both of you versus a problem. You let each other feel heard. You are not afraid to say sorry. And you don't ignore the red flags in them or in yourself. These wisdoms are simple yet powerful. Wherever you feel lost in your relationship, come back to these small truths. Sometimes, that's all it takes to reset your heart and change how you show up. For a lot of us, that's a real recipe for a happy relationship. If you enjoyed this conversation, subscribe, leave a review, and share it with a friend who would appreciate it. If this episode brought you value, you're welcome to take me out for a virtual coffee. It helps keep the mics on, and I appreciate the support. You can find the link in the show notes. And if you or someone amazing you know would be a great guest for this show, you will find the application link in the show notes too. That's it for now. Thanks for tuning in to this episode of The Dating Chit. I'm your host, T. Until next time, keep showing up, stay kind, stay curious, and never settle for less than the love you truly deserve.